Imagine if I never got in trouble.
Imagine if I could be on my own, and imagine if I didn't get nagged at all the time.
Imagine if I could look at books every day. Imagine if there was
Imagine
no
if
work.
all subjects under the curriculum
Imagine
for excellence were
if I
available at all
would get a
schools.
chippy for lunch.
Imagine if I could do mental maths all the time.
I'm Mrs. Grant and I work in Angus Council, in Dundee City Council and Perth and Kinross Council, and I work in education. I'm really grateful that you guys are all participating in this wee event today. And this is something about pupil voice, okay? And this is us kind of trying to find out what you think about school and education, but we're going to do it in a really fun way, okay? And we want you to be really creative. Do you know what that means? This, okay? And it's just a wee warm up to trying to get you thinking a wee bit differently. And our first task is I want you to think about how to catch a bear, okay? We wanted to do that activity so that we could start thinking a wee bit creatively, so thinking about things differently, okay? Now, we're going to do lots of it. Remember we were talking about imagination earlier on, about being creative and using your imagination. So we're going to do something called an imagine if statement. So this is using your imagination, being a bit creative, to think about things in a wee bit of a different way around maybe school and learning. And what I want you to think about, if you were king of all schools, okay, and you could change everything and anything you wanted, what would you change? Okay, so you're going to put imagine if on your post-it note and then think, if you were the king or queen, what would you change? Okay, do you all understand what we're going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, I want you to think creatively. Okay, have we all got something? Right guys, so we're going to, and can everyone read what's on the post-it note? Yeah? We're all happy with that? Okay, now we're just going to go around the tables and you can read those out.
Imagine if all subjects under the curriculum for excellence were available at all schools. Some subjects like higher hospitality and economics aren't available here, and better fit and blazers.
Imagine if all schools had the appropriate supplies for every department.
Imagine if more college courses were available at schools.
Imagine if animals were allowed to be in classes to help people concentrate.
Imagine if school was only Monday to Thursday instead of the half-day Friday.
Imagine if there was no homework.
Imagine if there were no exams.
Imagine if we had longer break and lunch.
Imagine if I could change school days and only go to school one day a week. Imagine if I could eat ice cream for school time. Imagine if you could get more outdoor things. Imagine if you could change some of the school topics.
Imagine if I could change all the school rules to no rules and do what you want. Get a chippy for lunch and go to school when you wanted, and change the school badge to the national speed limit sign.
Imagine if you could have no school uniform.
So lots of nice creative thinking there. Okay, so we're going to get a wee bit more creative. What is this? A bin. Okay, a recycling bin. Okay, we're going to do another wee creative task. I want you to think about how many different ways we could use a bin. It's obviously a bin, but I want you to be creative and think about what are all the other things you could use your bin for. I want you to use your imaginations. Think really like creatively to think of all the things that you could use the bin for. We're going to do another imagine if exercise, okay? And we're going to start looking at your learning at school, okay? So what is the best moment of school or learning that you have ever had? So if someone said to you, what was the best thing at school ever? Does something pop into your mind? So what I want you to do is to make an imagine if. And that imagine if, okay, It's going to be something that you could do all the time that would make every lesson, every day at school that good.
Imagine if debating was an essential part of learning, like it was timetabled. I feel it improves understanding.
Imagine if all teachers were as kind and dedicated and enthusiastic as the teachers I have.
Imagine all teachers did collaborative learning, not just copying from a board.
Imagine if all teachers put in a lot of effort.
Imagine if all pupils were told that failing an exam doesn't mean you can't do what you want to do the next year.
Imagine if we could write our own music more often in music lessons.
Imagine if we had more choice in PE.
Imagine if there were more school trips.
Imagine if you could do maths all day. Imagine if you could play in the sand all day. Imagine if you could go swimming every day.
Imagine if we had pets in school.
Imagine if I could do mental maths all the time.
So we looked at what would be our very best, what we could do. So sometimes at school we might not have such a good day, okay? And there might be a few occasions where you'll be thinking, I didn't have such a good day at school today. So I want you to kind of think about your very worst moment at school or learning. So what I want you to think about this time is what's the worst moment of school or learning that you ever had? Now this time I want you to think about to ensure that never happens again. Yeah? So imagine if what could have been done to make sure that you never have that feeling of, oh, don't want to do that. Okay? Can we do that?
Imagine if I never got in trouble.
Imagine if I could be on my own.
Imagine if I could eat my lunch in a quiet place. Imagine if I could go back in time and fix my fights with everyone.
Imagine if I didn't have anxiety for tests.
Imagine if we had more time to revise.
Imagine if we never have to sit in front of a whiteboard for 50 minutes and not be active and move about. Imagine if teachers listened more.
Imagine if we did it instead of getting a speech about how to do it.
Imagine if teachers spent equal time with every individual.
Imagine if activity group work, which is appropriate for younger children only, like such as colourful timelines, was phased out or abandoned altogether for older years.
Imagine if every criticism could be turned into a positive improvement.
Imagine if teachers actually stopped to explain something complicated rather than just expecting pupils to copy and understand.
So guys, I'm going to get you to use your imagination one more time. Okay? And this time I want you to imagine that there is no school. Okay? School was never invented. Okay? Imagine there's no teachers. How would you learn the things that you needed to learn to get a job, okay, or to have a great life? So if we took school away completely, never had to go to school, never had a teacher, how would you get the job you wanted, and how would you have a nice happy life? I want you to write down, okay, what you would maybe need to do. So you don't necessarily have to do imagine if this time, but I want you to think about how would you get everything you needed then to get a good job when you were older, okay?
I suppose it would be a simpler world where we could learn most from our parents and then move on to a trade with a mentor who could teach us.
You could still succeed by such things as group teaching if one person was better at different things.
By learning practical skills passed down from your parents and family for generations.
I would learn from my own experiences.
You could have more apprentice opportunities and learn from others.
Use Google, games on iPads, practice being a hairdresser.
Speak with the expert. Speak with people that work there or find a fact book. I would use common sense and logic, and also it would be hard to learn because you wouldn't know how to use books on the internet.
I'd get someone to help you and then try it yourself and keep trying.
Excellent, guys. How did you find that as a way of looking at things differently about school? Yeah, different? Think it made you think about what happens in school a wee bit? Yeah? Give you a good opportunity to give your views? Yeah? Thank you very much. I'm going to take in your post-it notes if that's okay. Did you find that quite an interesting task?
Yeah, that was fun.
Was it fun?
Yeah, that was following nothing.